Welcome to the Uncut Film on TCM. Tony Montana, fresh off the refugee boat from Castro's Cuba, is in paradise. With his insolently jutting jaw and volcanic reserves of hair trigger machismo, he's about to snort up a mountain range of the American dream in powdered form. He wants it all, he wants it now, and he'll slaughter anyone who gets in his way. The 1980s have arrived, and gangster capitalism wears a disco pimp lounge suit.
Me, I want what's coming to me.
Oh, well, what's coming to you, Tony?
The world, Chico. And everything in it.
Released in 1983, Scarface brought together the explosive combination of Al Pacino, Oliver Stone and Brian De Palma. The result is one of the most controversial crime sagas ever made. It was a loose remake of Howard Hawks' 1932 classic starring Paul Muni as a Prohibition-era Chicago mobster. But in Stone and De Palma's remake, we get cocaine instead of bootlegging driving the plot forward. While preparing to write the screenplay, Stone was locked in a cocaine tailspin of his own. He'd undertaken research in Miami, Bolivia and Bimini, a key staging post in the Latin American drug trade. Stone began hanging around with some very unsavoury characters and came very close to losing his life on at least one occasion. So he moved to Paris to write the screenplay. He calls it his farewell to the drug. Sidney Lumet was originally supposed to direct Scarface, but wanted more of a political angle to it, which producer Martin Bregman resisted. This film was about cocaine, power and money, not politics. De Palma, coming off the back of the conspiracy thriller Blowout, was drafted in. He saw parallels between the film and John Huston's 1948 classic, The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, with cocaine replacing gold as the source of the protagonist's greed and, ultimately, downfall. Pacino makes an impressive entrance, where one might expect a low-key, even grateful approach following a Cuban refugee's arrival in the US. He's all snarls, wisecracks, lies and a loud shirt as he's interrogated by the immigration officers. He even taunts them when they ask him where an uneducated peasant like him learned how to speak English, replying that his father used to take him to the cinema to watch old American movies starring the likes of James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart. In other words, gangsters. After an inauspicious start to his pursuit of the American dream,
I didn't come to the United States to break my back.
Pacino gets his big break and is soon making his way up the gangster hierarchy with a ruthless, single-minded determination.
Why don't you try sticking your head up your ass? See if it fits.
Stone based the infamous chainsaw scene on a real event that he'd heard about. It's perhaps the most gruesome moment in the entire movie. It established a new level of violence for a De Palma film and was deliberately placed early on, 20 minutes in, as he sets his stall out and leaves the audience in no doubt whatsoever as to the sort of movie they're experiencing. Notwithstanding the controversy that surrounded it, it's as much grisly by implication as anything else. We, the audience, don't actually see any cutting and slicing, only an expression on Pacino's face, a splattering of blood, and excellent use of sound effects. There are a number of similarities between the original Scarface and the remake that are worthy of discussion. Pacino's relationship with his sister Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, which borders on the incestuous, is lifted directly from the original. The homicidal Montana ruthlessly wrests control of the cocaine racket from his boss, Frank Lopez, played by Robert Loggia, and into the bargain claims Frank's mistress Elvira, played by Michelle Pfeiffer. Both Pfeiffer and Mastrantonio are interesting characters in their own right, as is Stephen Bauer as Tony's oldest friend, Manny Ray, a man who would rather have the women than the money. So much so that Pacino feels he has to put him right on the order of things.
This country, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman.
Other interesting characters come and go, but ultimately it's Al Pacino's film. He's electric, and when he's on screen, it's absolutely impossible to take your eyes off him. Loud and unpleasant, he's everything that Michael Corleone isn't. All anger and violence and profanity. Iron-willed in his pursuit of the American dream, he'll do just about anything to get his piece of it, apart from lie.
All I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. Do you understand?
It's a big performance, and it took an actor with as much screen presence as Pacino to make it work. We're dragged along as he rises from having absolutely nothing to having absolutely everything before the bloody climax when he makes his final stand. That's not to say that the movie is without humour. From the opening scenes to Bauer's obsession with women, Via a hilarious bathroom scene where Pacino and Pfeiffer bicker incessantly, the humour sits well with the ultra-violent nature of the movie.
Can't you stop talking about money? It's boring, Tony.
What is this going for, Mike? Boring? What's boring?
You're boring.
Oh.
Money, 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 money. That's all I ever hear in this house.
Scarface is a movie about the American dream gone crazy. Cocaine can give you riches beyond your wildest dreams, but ultimately it can and will destroy your life. The highs are necessarily followed by the absolute lows. Perhaps Pfeiffer's character sums it up best.
Can't you see what we're becoming to? We're losers. We're not winners, we're losers.
It says something about Scarface that Al Pacino, a man who has starred in such films as the Godfather trilogy, Dog Day Afternoon, Serpico, Scent of a Woman and Glengarry Glen Ross, considers it one of his favourite films, and he absolutely nails the accent. Welcome then to Brian De Palma's Scarface, the Disco Godfather. Enjoy the movie.